Breaking. Princess Leonor's historic tour of Navarre, first steps as Princess of Viana crown. A familiar title, a familiar princess, a familiar tradition, but tonight, something is different. Not expected, not rehearsed, not repeated from the past. Because just when Spain thought it understood Princess Leonor's journey, a single tour shattered every expectation. Her first steps as Princess of Viana didn't just honor history, they rewrote it. And what happened on those roads of Navarre left even the royal family stunned, the crowds breathless, and the future of Spain forever changed. Princess Leonor's historic tour of Navarre began long before the motorcade arrived. It began in the hearts of the people who had waited generations to see a royal heir step into the ancient title of Princess of Viana with such grace, conviction, and youthful determination. The air carried a soft morning chill, yet the atmosphere vibrated with excitement, as if the entire region had been holding its breath for this moment. And the moment her vehicle appeared at the edge of the old stone streets of Pamplona, the crowd erupted with a warmth that shook Leonor's composure for a split second. Because this was not just another official visit. This was identity. This was heritage. This was the past calling to the future. She stepped out of the car wearing a refined, understated outfit in soft royal blue, the color chosen with intention. Blue for unity, blue for tradition, blue for peace. The golden sunlight of Navarre caught her hair, giving her an almost ethereal aura as she approached the waiting dignitaries. She offered a poised, heartfelt smile, one that didn't just reach her lips but her eyes, carrying sincerity that cameras cannot fake. And at that moment, every person in that square felt the same thing, something historic was unfolding right before them. Leonor's first words were simple but powerful, delivered with confidence beyond her years. She thanked the people of Navarre for their warmth. She acknowledged their history, and she honored her role as Princess of Viana with a humility that took everyone by surprise. For centuries, the title had existed as a symbol, a connection to the ancient kingdom of Navarre. But today, in her presence, it became alive again. But even as the speeches unfolded, there was a question floating in the background. A curiosity that lingered in every whispered conversation, in every camera flash, in every gaze fixed on Spain's future queen. Would Leonor simply follow tradition, or would she redefine it? That question tugged at the viewers, at the crowds, at the palace itself. And by the end of her tour, the answer became undeniable. She did both. Her next stop took her deep into the cultural heart of Navarre, a place where the past is not stored in books but lived through music, festivals, language, and community traditions passed down through centuries. As she entered the historic palace of the kings of Navarre, she ran her fingers briefly over the stone walls, absorbing the age, the stories, the echoes of her ancestors. That small, almost unnoticeable gesture said more than any speech. It was instinctive, emotional, and deeply symbolic. She wasn't just performing a duty. She was connecting. Inside, she was guided through centuries-old artifacts, crowns, manuscripts, ancient seals that once belonged to monarchs who shaped the Iberian Peninsula. She listened carefully, asked questions with genuine curiosity, and interacted with historians in a way that showed she viewed her heritage not as weight but as purpose. And that subtle distinction is what endeared her to many. Every generation inherits a legacy, but only a few embrace it with both humility and courage. And then came the moment that would ripple across Spain. Her meeting with local youth. A group of young students awaited her, expecting stiff formality. Instead, Leonor walked toward them with warmth, breaking protocol in the softest, most human way. She opened her arms, inviting connection instead of distance. The children's faces lit up, and before long, they were speaking to her as if she were one of them. Some spoke nervously, others confidently. They asked her about her training, about her dreams, about what it felt like to be Princess of Viana. Leonor's answers carried depth, yet remained relatable. She admitted that responsibility can feel heavy. She admitted that she learns something new about Spain every day. And when a young girl asked her if she ever feels afraid of not being perfect, Leonor paused, a pause filled with vulnerability and truth, and said, "Perfection is not my goal. Service is." That single sentence opened a new curiosity loop for everyone watching. If this young princess already understood service at such a profound level, what kind of queen will she become? From there, the emotions only intensified. Her next stop took her into the rolling landscapes of Navarre, where tradition meets the modern world. As her convoy moved through smaller towns, she requested something unexpected. She asked for the motorcade to slow down. She wanted to see the people. She wanted to wave to the elderly couple standing outside their door. She wanted to look into the eyes of the farmers who paused their work to greet her. She wanted connection, not ceremony. And the people felt it. An elderly woman approached her with trembling hands holding a simple bouquet of wildflowers. She whispered, "For our future queen." Leonor bowed her head, thanked her, and held those flowers with reverence. Cameras captured the moment, but what they couldn't capture was the unspoken thread of emotion tying two generations together. A woman who lived through decades of change meeting the young royal who would one day guide the nation through the next era. But beneath the smiles and applause, another narrative simmered. The question of how Leonor would balance expectation and identity, tradition and modernity, duty and personal dreams. And this tour, this first step as Princess of Viana, offered glimpses, but only glimpses, into the answer. Her next engagement brought her to a cultural performance showcasing Navarre's deep Basque-influenced heritage. As dancers performed the ancient arrescu, the ceremonial dance of respect, Leonor's expression softened. She watched with an intensity that hinted at understanding the depth of what she was witnessing. When it was time for her to respond, she placed her right hand over her heart in a gesture that made the entire hall fall silent. It was not rehearsed. It was not planned. It was instinct, an instinct of respect. And it touched everyone. But the most emotional moment arrived when she visited a historical site tied directly to the legacy of the Old Kingdom of Navarre. As she walked through stone corridors and gardens shaped by centuries of royal footsteps, she paused near an ancient oak tree. The Royal Oak of Navarre. A symbol of tradition, unity, and the endurance of a people who have survived wars, dynasties, and cultural shifts. Leonor asked to stand alone for a moment. The cameras stepped back. The silence deepened. That moment would later be described by palace insiders as one of the most emotional scenes of the entire tour. Witnesses said she closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and placed her hand against the bark of the old tree. For a brief moment, she was not a princess. Not a future queen. Not a public figure. She was simply a young woman connecting with a legacy older than anything she had ever known. And then, with renewed calm, she stepped back to the cameras. Her posture straighter, her eyes brighter. Something had shifted within her. As if the past whispered a reminder, and she accepted it. From that point onward, the tour transformed. Her speeches became stronger. Her interactions became more confident. Her presence radiated a certainty that even her royal team hadn't anticipated. The crowds grew larger in each town she visited. Some came out of curiosity. Others out of admiration. Many came because they sensed that the future of the monarchy wasn't distant anymore. It was standing right there in front of them. Her final event was the pinnacle of the tour, a symbolic ceremony acknowledging her role as Princess of Viana. The hall was filled with historians, regional leaders, cultural icons, and families who carried generations of Navarre's traditions. As she walked toward the podium, an almost sacred silence fell over the room. She began her speech softly, her voice steady but warm. She spoke of unity, not as a political ideal but as a human necessity. She spoke of heritage, not as a burden but as a gift. And she spoke of the future, not as a distant horizon but as a shared path she hoped to walk alongside the people of Navarre. But then came the sentence that struck every heart present: the strength of a region does not come from its past alone. It comes from its people. And today, I stand before you not only as Princess of Viana, but as someone who wants to learn from you, grow with you, and serve you. Applause erupted, filling the hall from floor to ceiling. Some stood, some cried, some simply held their breath in awe of the princess who spoke not like a symbol, but like a leader. And just when the ceremony seemed complete, another emotional thread pulled open a new curiosity: her unexpected acknowledgement of King Felipe. She spoke of him not as a king, but as a father. She shared how he had guided her, prepared her, taught her to value every part of Spain. And she ended that section with a line that left Felipe reportedly emotional behind the scenes: "My father taught me that being heir is not about privilege. It is about service. And today, I begin that service with all my heart." From that moment, the tour transcended formality. It became a bridge between past and present, between crown and people, between Navarre and Spain. As Leonor left the hall and the final cheers echoed into the evening light, one truth became clear: this tour was not just a ceremony. It was a declaration that Spain's future queen is ready not just to reign, but to connect, to unite, and to carry centuries of history into a new era with dignity, empathy, and strength. And the question that now lives in every heart across Spain is simple: if her first steps as Princess of Viana were this powerful, what will her first steps as queen look like?